In the Adult Weight Management Center, individuals come to us wanting to make healthy changes for themselves, and sometimes they'll find that they want the rest of their family to join them in making those healthy changes. And children are often part of the family. One of the key things that we learned in medical school is that children are not little adults. They're still developing emotionally and physically, and the recommendations that we give to adults may not necessarily pertain to children.
Families who share a meal together 3 to 4 times a week are more likely to have healthy eating behaviors, such as eating more healthy foods and less unhealthy foods. Children and adolescents who eat a family meal at least 3 times a week are also more likely to have lower rates of overweight and obesity, lower rates of depression and eating disorders, lower risk of substance abuse and teen pregnancy, better academic performance, and better self-esteem. However, family meals can often be very challenging, especially if one or more of the children in the family is a picky eater. Picky eating is very common. About half of parents report that their child is a picky eater at some point during childhood. Picky eating is a normal developmental phase. As a feature of normal childhood development, children experience a reduction in appetite between 2 and 8 years old. This coincides with a normal and expected decreased rate in growth during this time period as well, when children often look thinner.
Knowing that changes in appetite are a typical part of development for children, it's likely you'll see a picky eater in your own home. And we want to think about what's the long-term goal for our child who might be a picky eater at some point. We want to help children learn to develop a positive relationship with food. We do that by helping them have enjoyable meal times and enjoying food at mealtime. We also want them to learn to eat the amount that's right for them at each particular time they eat, and to behave well at mealtime.
When there is a picky eater at home, it's important to be considerate to what everyone likes, but not to cater to everyone's preferences. So the long-term goal is to have one meal with no substitutions. And the way that you do this is that when you meal plan, you may offer something new, but you also have things that your family is familiar with. If we were to cater to every child's preference, then we would be short order cooking, and that means we would have one meal for every member of the family. For example, let's say a mom was wanting to change eating habits, and so she fixes herself chicken and broccoli, but she doesn't think the entire family will eat that. She may then fix another family member a pizza and a different family member macaroni and cheese. That way everyone is pleased with their meal choice. So that would be short order cooking or catering, and that's what we want to avoid when we have picky eaters. We want to challenge our picky eaters, but also be considerate to what they do like. So maybe we continue with that chicken and that broccoli, and we add mac and cheese to the meal. So we know that everyone can make do, but they don't have to have an entirely different meal. It's important to involve children with your meal planning, with your grocery shopping, and even with the cooking and the prepping. The more kids are involved in the cooking and in the grocery shopping and the prepping, the more buy-in they have. They may not try that food at meal time, but they're exposed to it. And the more we expose children to new foods and to variety, the more they're maybe willing to try it in the future. When there's a picky eater at home, it's very tempting to try and disguise foods that you know they do not like. For example, if they don't like vegetables, a lot of the times parents may hide or disguise vegetables in spaghetti sauce or in meatloaf. The long-term goal is to get kids to enjoy vegetables and to choose the vegetable if they would like at that meal. So instead of disguising the green beans, you can just have a side of green beans on the plate, and it's their choice whether they eat that or not. Parents are often frustrated that they have to negotiate when it comes to food. So you have to take no thank you bites, or you have to eat so many bites before you're allowed to get up from the table. Within division of responsibility, we try to get rid of that negotiating. So we try to get children to choose the green beans if they would like, and if they decide not to eat that, that's okay. The more we pressure them to eat, the more they will push back.
A lot of times parents will try to introduce their new way of eating to the rest of the family. They want to share their newfound enthusiasm for eating more healthfully with the rest of the family. This oftentimes can be met with active or passive resistance or skepticism. Each family has its own set of dynamics that are shaped by the different personalities within the family, as well as different social and cultural norms and expectations. All of these factors play a role into whether and how these changes the parent is proposing is adopted by the rest of the family. And that, in turn, can really affect how supported or unsupported the person who's trying to make those changes feels.